Hey Bobcats, how we doing? Hope you're all well. Here we go, some more work on percent. Today, we're talking about simple interest. So it's an application of percent. I want you to still remember everything I've told you about percent of, percent is. This is going to be more of a percent of type of question. Okay, so when you think about interest, it's money that you earn or you have to pay, right? If you invest, you earn the interest. If you borrow the money, like you take a loan, you're going to have to pay interest. Okay? It happens in bank accounts. It happens in investments, bonds and other guaranteed income certificates, stuff like that. Mainly, you'll see it in your bank account, right? You get paid an interest for you to deposit money into a bank account. It's not a lot, and I'm going to pretend that it's more than it really is here for us. But you earn money because you give the bank the advantage of using your money for their benefit. So they pay you a little bit of interest, like a bonus. But how do we find the interest? Percent. Okay? So here's how we think about interest. Over here, I've got a little formula. Capital I stands for the amount of simple interest. That will be found by taking the principal, the P. The principal is the amount of money that you're borrowing or you're investing. So it's the money that we're really talking about. The R is the rate of interest. And the interest rate is always expressed. You're going to see it expressed as a percentage, but we're going to convert that to a decimal. Remember, whenever we want to try and calculate values using percent, we change the percent into a standard form, which is the decimal equivalent. So you're going to be putting your percent into a decimal and then times the time, and time is going to be expressed in years. So if it's not expressed in years or if it's part of a year, you have to do some conversions. Okay, so I equals PRT, and remember, like we said when we were talking about algebra, anytime you have letters side by side, it means multiplication. You don't need to see the little X in between. It's multiply. So interest is found by taking the principal, multiplying by the rate of interest, multiplied by the time. Okay, so here's a question, a typical question. I said if Reagan invested 500 of her dollars in an account that pays 4.25%. per year. So interest is always calculated on a yearly basis. You might say per annum, which means still per year, but 4.25% per year, and she leaves her money in the account for 5 years. Okay, so she doesn't touch it for 5 years. She just waits to see how it will grow. Here's the question. How much interest will she earn? There's one question. And what will be the new amount in her bank account? So there's the second question. And that one comes after we find out how much interest she earns. Okay, so let's look at this again. And this is what we always start with. We look through our question. We find all of these words. Do I know the simple interest? Do I know what I stands for here? I look through and I say 500. That doesn't sound like simple interest. I see 4.25%. That sounds like an interest rate, but it's not the amount of simple interest. So I still haven't got I yet. And then I see 5 years. That's time. So we got a number here, a number here, and a number here that we have to be concerning ourselves with. They're not simple interest. So that's what I want to find. I'll start with identifying what I know, kind of what I did over here. I like to put it out on the left margin. The simple interest is the thing I don't know. P, principal. What's the amount of money being invested or borrowed? There it is. It's 500 bucks. So P is 500. R for rate. There it is. 4.25%. Now remember, I got to express this as a decimal. There's a decimal in it. Doesn't mean it's in percent yet because I still got the percentage sign that follows the number. So how do I change a percent into a decimal? Remember, this means 4.25 out of 100. So just as a little aside, how do I change this into a decimal? That's what it means, right? I have to divide by 100. 4.25 divided by 100. So that decimal will be moving once, twice to the left. So it would be 0.0425. That's what 4.25% looks like as a decimal. So the rate, 0.0425. And the time, 5 years. Okay, it's exactly 5. If it was more than just 5 years, I would have to put point something. I'd have to figure out the decimal equivalent. Okay, so we've got our numbers. Let's see what they multiply out to be. So I always follow this, right? Interest, simple interest is principal times rate times time. Now I just sub in my numbers. I have P, so principal, 500. I'm going to put these all in multiplication brackets. Times the rate, 0.0425, make that decimal larger, times the time. Okay, so I multiply that by the 500 times, now I don't even know what this equals, so I got to get my calculator out as well. And I say 500 times 0.0425 times 5 equals, so 106.25. So I know 106.25 is what? What did I just find? I answered one of these questions. Think about it. What did I just find? I found the amount of simple interest. So let's go back to our question. Reagan invested 500 bucks. That's what, how much she has now? Does that make sense? She invested it. It's her money. Do you think she should have less than what she started with? No, that's what she had in addition to the 500 that she put in the bank. So the total amount, we've answered this question. How much interest will she earn? That's that. She will earn $106.25 in interest. Now, the total amount she'll have now, what do you think we need to do to figure that out? She started with 500. She made $106.25. So what's our total amount? I think you probably know you need to add these together. So I'm adding the interest to the principal, P and I they call it, principal plus interest. I should probably, interest. And we add this all up, we get $606.25. So that's how much money will now be in Reagan's account at the end of 5 years. If she invested $500, didn't touch it, made 4.25% per year, and she left it for 5 years, she'd then now have $606.25. Okay? That's how simple interest works. All right, I'm going to give you one more question on this, and then I'm going to let you try some questions on your own. Okay? So, a little bit more information on this next one. I need a new car. It's going to be a used one. I need to borrow $2,000 from some lender. I'm going to say some lender. The bank might not want to lend me the money. It might be a high risk. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm going to borrow $2,000 from somebody. So it's a loan, right, for a used car. The lender's going to charge me 8% interest. So let's look at, I'm not going to write all this down, but I'm going to go, do I know the simple interest? Do I know the principal? Do I know the rate? Do I know the time? I'll read it all again. I'm borrowing $2,000. The lender's charging me 8% interest per year, and I'm going to keep the loan for 18 months. How much in all do I have to pay back? And if I want to do this monthly, which is the way loans are paid back, usually by monthly, how much per month do I need to pay back? So there's the question. So if I go back, do I know the interest, simple interest? No, not yet. I don't know how much it's going to cost me. I know how much I want. I want $2,000. So $2,000 in principal. I know the rate of interest. It was 8%. So 8%, but remember, express that as a decimal. So I'm going to say that's 0.08. Remember? 8%, 8 over 100, 8 divided by 100 is 0.08. The time is, what did I say? 18 months. Uh-oh. What does time have to be expressed in? Years. So now what? How do I figure out how many years 18 months is? Well, you got to think, right? How many months are there in a year? And you'll say 12. So you know, well, 12 of those 18 months makes 1 year. And then how many's left over? 6, right? 12 plus 6 is 18. And 6 months are half a year. So I could, if I just logically thought about it, I'd say it's a 1.5 years. Or if I really wanted to calculate it, how do you calculate it? 18 months divided by 12 months per year. This is going to be 1.5. Okay? So it's 1.5 years. That's my time. Okay, let's put it all together. I equals PRT. So simple interest is going to be my $2,000 times my rate of interest, 0.08, times my time, 1.5. This is how much it's going to cost me. It's called cost of borrowing, right? It's going to cost me to borrow money. How much is it going to cost me? Well, I say 2,000 times 0.08 times 1.5 is going to be $240, okay? I already did this one before. Don't think I know what this is in my head. So $240 it costs me to borrow. Does that mean that's all I got to pay back? Remember, I borrowed $2,000 from the lender. They gave it to me. I went and bought my car. So now I'm using a car that I really didn't pay for yet. So I got to pay back the lender the amount of money it cost me to borrow, but I also got to pay back the $2,000 that I borrowed in the first place. So my question was, how much do I have to pay back in simple interest? There it is, $240. What's the total amount owing? Total owing is my $2,000 plus my $240 in interest. So I owe them $2,240 altogether, right? That's what I got to pay back. Now, if at the end of 1.5 years, if the borrower or if the lender didn't want to take any money from me up front and said, you know what, pay me when you're done. That's what I owe the lender at the end of the term. But if I wanted to start paying it, which is the way loans usually work, I start paying it right from the start. The first month in, I start paying it. So how can I figure out how much money I owe them every month for 18 months? What do you think? That's the total amount. So this is called installments, right? So I'm going to call this a monthly installments. I don't know if there's two L's there. I think there's only one. How much do I need to pay? I need to pay $2,240. How many months is it going to take me to pay it off? 18. So $2,240, 18 months. Okay, this is a ratio. What is it per month? You've been doing this already, right? How does 18 become 1? There's a nice one to work for, right? Divided by 18. So 2,240 divided by 18. It's going to be, I think it's what? About $124.44. It's repeated. So that will be the amount I need to pay per month, starting with the very first month after I get the car. I'll say, okay, every month from now on for 1.5 years, I'm going to pay $124.44 every month. At the end of 18 months, I'll be done. And I'll have the car and you'll have your money. You will have made $240 off me. I would have had the benefit of borrowing somebody else's money for the car. Okay, that's applying percent. It's called simple interest. Now, simple interest is, as it's called, very simple. It's very easy to calculate. I will encourage you to look up, maybe this is something you can do to expand your learning. Look up compound interest. It's a nicer form of interest. It's really how the world works. Not a lot of things work with simple interest, but for grade 8, that's all we use. But I'm not going to go into compound interest, but I think if you're interested, go look into compound interest, see how that works, see what the formula is for that. Okay, and see if you can figure out some questions there. All right, that's it on percent for now. Applying percent, simple interest. See you later.